Recording. All right, Voltron Season 3, Princess Allura dies.
Whoa.
Episode 6.
Whoa.
If you haven't watched it, why are you listening? Go watch it and come back and listen to us, because we're spoiling everything.
Okay, none of that happens.
My name is Ethan.
I'm David.
David?
I'm David, you jerk.
Oh, David. Okay. And we are Those Nerds You Know.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. We're going to talk about Voltron Season 3.
Woo!
And possibly a little bit about
the Dark Tower.
The Dark Tower as well.
Yeah, we saw that this past week.
More stuff. So,
yeah, other topics.
Let's get into it. Voltron Season 3. How was it, David?
It was good. It was short.
It was both of those things. Yeah, accurate. 7 episodes to be exact.
Yeah, we knew it was going to be 7 episodes. We talked about it the last time we talked about Voltron. It was still, I guess, to me, a little bit of a surprise at how short 7 episodes is.
Yeah, it's quick.
But it was solid for what it was. It's a neat transition between seasons, I think.
It's definitely transitory, yeah.
Yeah, it takes us a little bit off the edge, a little bit, like, because the last season kind of ended in this, like, huge cliffhanger, and this, like, was a really neat thing where it's just like we kind of stepped back from the ledge and we got a few things answered and stuff like that. Some things were...
That's true. The pace was a little slower.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing was as dire.
Yeah, really. No, it was really neat. And there was just like the paladins are trying to get their everything in stride again. They're trying to get their feet back under them, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Episode 1 is them coming to grips with the fact that they don't have 5th paladin anymore. They don't have Shiro.
Mm-hmm.
Which means they don't have Voltron.
Yeah, they couldn't make Voltron.
And they need to change that.
Kind of like the Power Rangers Time Force.
Is that what it's kind of like?
They needed a 5th Ranger, and they went back in time.
Oh.
Remember?
I'm sure it was just like that, David. Any hoozles. So yeah, we were talking about this season is 7 episodes, which I was just checking at. Our first season had 11.
Yeah. Second
season had 13. I thought they had more for some reason.
They basically each had 13 because episode 1 was basically the first 3 episodes combined into one.
That's true. Yeah. So they shaved off 5 episodes, 6 episodes.
Yeah.
Basically giving us half of a season.
Mm-hmm. It was interesting, like you said, because I didn't think about it when I was watching, but the pacing is definitely a lot slower.
It is.
It's like this whole like season basically takes a breather basically from the intense season finale that was season 2, because season 2 like they basically like went into to war, like they basically went into the conflict head on. They had the final boss battle and everything.
They cracked a plan to cripple Zarkon's ship and his forces and get him away from all of his forces and all this nonsense. Like I watched season 3 and then I went back and watched the finale of season 2 and then started watching season 3 again. Just so I could be prepared and sort of understand where everything was coming from. Yeah. Because I realized I forgot a few key things. So so in season 2, the finale is they band together as Voltron. They fight against Zarkon, who has his own big mech. Zarkon's doing his best to take the Black Lion away from Shiro because he was the previous paladin for the Black Lion. Mm-hmm. In that altercation, Shiro manages to magically steal the Bayard from Zarkon. So he takes back the Black Bayard from Zarkon, which is cool. Mm-hmm. And uses that in the Black Lion to form a big, fiery, awesome magic sword, which is what they use to defeat Zarkon. Yeah. After which, Shiro's lion is incapacitated and he is found to be missing, and that's what season 2 cuts off on. Mm-hmm. But yeah, season 1 and season 2 both. I think in both cases, at the latter half of each of those first 2 seasons is very fast paced. Yeah. They're building up to a head. They're building up to this big climax in each time, and they both end with sort of a cliffhanger. Yeah. Whereas this season, there are
this season had its ending. I wouldn't consider it a cliffhanger. It felt more like the Castlevania Netflix series, where it was like 4 episodes, but it's like the end. It like had a brief conclusion, but with the promise of more, basically. Like it was like there was a lot of things that weren't answered, but they weren't like necessarily like these like
Yeah.
large questions that were like, because it's like the story just kind of picked up into a place where it's just like, okay, so now we know that the war is just going to continue from now on.
Yeah.
The status quo has been reset.
I think it's what's really interesting about this season, because we both sort of predicted things that might happen during the season.
Yeah.
And we were both right about a couple of things.
Yeah.
You were right about Keith becoming the Black Lion. I think you predicted that.
Yeah,
right?
I think
the Black Paladin.
I figured he would
and
be
the leader of the team.
Yeah, I figured he was going to have to take on as the leader,
which he did become. And thank goodness I was right that they gave Homegirl a lion.
Princess Allura.
Yeah, I was so happy about that. I was so glad.
Something I think is really neat, but also really like throws me off for the whole show is that like they had this transition where Keith became the Black Lion, Lance became the Red Lion, and Allura became the Blue Lion.
Yeah.
And Allura got this like pink armor for her paladin outfit.
Right.
And everybody else just kept their colors.
Yep.
And it's been throwing me off real hard.
Nah. Everyone's OCD is going to be real bad. If you want, be careful. If you have OCD, don't just approach with caution.
Just approach with caution.
No one's following protocol anymore.
Yeah, nobody's wearing. This isn't like Power Rangers. They didn't just start miraculously changing the colors of their clothing.
It's so strange.
They're all still wearing the same outfits.
Yeah, so they're wearing the same colors. However, the ones who have switched have switched lions and have also switched Bayards. So Keith wears red and has a black Bayard. But the fun thing about it is the Bayards are the same weapons.
They're making the same weapons.
Which
yeah,
I
they're just different
cool.
Bayards.
I think that's fun. Because it senses whatever their paladin's best with.
Yeah, I guess. It just feels odd. Like it just feels really weird.
Well, I mean, the whole I think putting Lance in the Red Lion is odd. I don't because at this point I don't see any need for it. There hasn't been any
need for Lance
to change lions. Like, just give Homegirl the Red Lion.
I liked it because I thought this series, one of the things I did like about this season, even though it was short, I felt it was kind of short and sweet in that it kind of gave the characters that we were talking about before that were just kind of the oddballs, they kind of gave them something to work with. They gave them something to do. Like Hunk took like a really active interest in everything Pidge was doing as far as the tech side of the teams. He was like constantly doing things, and he was like stepping up his game in that field. He wasn't like, he was still making jokes about food and stuff like that.
I feel like that's a little bit of that is left over from the first season too. Though,
yeah,
because Hunk was a little bit tech savvy, more so than Lance.
Yeah, and Lance, while I feel like in this season there's this big moment where like Lance realizes he kind of has to set aside his rivalry, and I like that he like basically submits that Keith is his leader and he's going to take Keith's orders, and he also like shows that trust, and I feel like part of the challenge for him is to like, and I feel like it was kind of a physical change to reflect the psychological change in that like not only did he have to adjust to this new life of listening to what Keith has to say instead of just arguing with him all the time, but now he physically has to ride a lion that's different than his and is similar to Keith's, basically.
That's true.
And it also put him closer to Keith, like physically closer, because he's piloting an arm now instead of a leg. And that's something they mentioned about, is that Lance is now Keith's right hand.
That's true.
And so, yeah, I thought it was really neat.
Pretty neat, yeah. That's a good representation of that. Okay, I guess I can see that. I can see the need for that now.
Yeah, and like Princess Allura start taking the place of the Blue Lion, as she's the newest paladin, she's taking one of the legs now. She's starting from the bottom again.
Right.
So I thought that was a really neat
That's
thing.
Cool. Yeah, I didn't think that way. But yeah.
But it was really cool that they did get the lines, and it's neat that we also predicted. One of us predicted that Shiro was going to show back up again.
Oh yeah, definitely. No, he wasn't.
We figured he wasn't going to be.
I knew he was coming back.
I kind of thought he was going to come back like the last episode or something like that. Like, or
See,
we were talking about.
That's what I thought was going to happen. I thought like the end of episode 7 was when they would get like a little ping on their radar and be like, "Oh, it's Shiro. Let's go get him," and we wouldn't even see him throughout the season. But instead, we got a whole episode about him.
Yeah.
Episode 5 is all Shiro, and it's so cool.
It is
and
really
that brings even more questions about him. It's funny that Shiro. We've gotten 3 seasons into this thing, and we still really don't know anything about Shiro, aside from the fact that he was the Black Lion Paladin, and he had to struggle against Zarkon to maintain control of the Black Lion. We got that much. We know that he's somewhat connected to the Galra in some way because of his arm, but we know nothing else.
Yeah.
And it's mind-boggling, because now
I also thought it was interesting. It was interesting and yet a little bit sad that when Shiro returned to the team, his lion didn't take him back.
Correct. Yes.
He had to take a back seat to the paladins taking charge of Voltron. But at the same time, again with my history with Power Rangers, this just reminded me of when Billy in the original Mighty Morphin, when they got into Zeo, everybody became a Zeo Ranger except for Billy, who stepped aside, and he basically took a more active. He took a more like man in the chair approach, in that he would be in the command center with Alpha and Zordon, basically calling the shots and helping them resolve issues and things like that. And so that was really neat, where it's like Shiro took a position of like he still felt like the leader of the of Team Voltron,
yes,
even though he wasn't the lead paladin. So like Keith was in command of Voltron, while Shiro was like kind of like the general of their little squad,
which is what I thought he would be doing when he came back anyway.
Yeah,
I thought it was strange that he even tried to go into the Black Lion. I mean, I guess I can understand that now, because you would want to go back to whatever it was you were doing before,
exactly.
especially after this difficult experience. But I figured Shiro would be the one to automatically just be like, oh, Keith, you're piloting the Black Lion? Awesome sauce. I'm going to stay here, and I'm going to give you orders, and I'm going to let you know how it's going. But I'm like, you can still.
I also felt,
I thought it was strange that he even tried, but it's... He accepted it really quickly, so it's good.
So I mentioned Hunk earlier, but I feel like as much as I'd liked Hunk in the season, I feel like they could have done a little bit more with him, but they did a lot with Lance this season. And one of the other things they did with Lance is that when Shiro came back, they had that problem where he's just like, well, what if Shiro gets his lion back, and then that means Keith will go back to the Red Lion, and then he was like, but I don't want to take the lion back from Princess Allura because she's doing a better job than I am. Yeah, and so Lance was just like, I'm just gonna leave Team Voltron, and I was just like, that was very like cool of him. That was very like. Yeah, it showed a lot of character for him. I thought that was really
Lance
neat.
has definitely grown, and this is definitely a good Lance season. I'm trying to think back. So in previous seasons, we've generally had at least one episode that's just kind of like happy-go-lucky.
Yeah,
not a lot's going on.
Kind of like a filler episode a little bit.
Right, and I think with the shorter episodes, I'm trying to think right now if there even was one like that in this season. I don't think there was.
I don't think so. Like
since they're shorter
they
now,
didn't have a lot of time in this season.
Just doing plot building.
But it was really just kind of like they were kind of like checking the right boxes. Basically, they were like, okay, we're gonna make sure this happens. We're gonna make sure this happens. We're gonna make sure this happens. But it wasn't like in the sense that like it felt like it wasn't thought through. It felt like, honestly, it felt the opposite. If anything, it felt like they were like, okay, these are things that need to get resolved. This is how we're going to resolve them. We got to make sure we get them resolved in this short amount of time, basically. And so it was really neat, where it's just like not a whole lot of stuff. There was a lot of changes to the show, but the point of this season, I felt, was that they're like, okay, there's a new villain, there's a new Voltron setup, and the war is still continuing. And so it's like by the end of the series, basically everybody, not just the good guys but also the bad guys, because you see the Galra Empire is also adjusting to the fact that Zarkon is alive but unconscious, and his son Lotor, who is strong but different than Zarkon, is running the Empire a different way. Everybody's like, okay, how do we change allegiances to this man that we barely know because he was in exile, and we still don't really know that much about Lotor, except that he's a boss.
He's so cool. We'll talk about him in a bit. But this is an adjustment season. Yeah, this is a season where we as the audience get used to what's going on. The paladins get used to what's happening and sort of regroup and figure out what they're doing, so they can move forward strongly. And the Galra are doing pretty much the same thing. I like all the explanation we got about the Galra, about who they are, about why we got to this point. So episode 7, honestly, is just a flashback episode. Yeah. There's no real plot in it.
I feel like if anything, that would probably be the filler episode. Yeah. But like even then, it didn't feel like filler because it actually answered some questions. I feel like it was still important, but it wasn't. But it just didn't push the plot forward much. It just helped expound on some things, which was neat.
Yes, I agree. So I liked episode 2. We talked about episode 1. That's when we get the new paladins and all that nonsense. And we also get an introduction to Lotor in episode 1. So we'll talk about him a little bit. Yeah. I love Lotor. I think he is so cool. When he first came in, I was all on board with him.
He's a lot more charismatic than Zarkon.
Yes.
I also like that he plays off as being like kind of like the more merciful and kind side of the Galra Empire, and he was just like, we don't just we're going to like have make friends basically instead of having people fear us. And then you find out like he's just like that's just his technique to manipulate people.
That's just his ploy.
And I'm just like, oh man, this is neat. This is a really interesting thing.
Yes.
Because instead of having this guy who's just like, I'm the big bad guy and everybody will do as I say, he's just like he's just making friends with everybody, but secretly stabbing them all on the back. And I think that's really neat.
Yes. Another thing that we've been needing throughout season 1 and season 2 that I've been forgiving in the series up until now has been some motive for the bad guys.
Yeah, definitely.
Because Zarkon has just been this big, bad, evil force without a whole lot of reasoning as to why he is the way he is up until now. And even through this season, we don't really get that until episode 7.
And even then, it to me, I don't know, something about it didn't feel that satisfying, but it did.
It's not entirely satisfying.
It did put a lot of things. It did make a lot of things make more sense for sure.
It did. It still doesn't explain to me. I mean, so episode 7 sort of explained why Zarkon did some of the things he did before he became possessed by Quintessence. After he has now been possessed by Quintessence, as well as his wife, we find out, who's we've been referring to as Hagar, but she has a name, and I forgot that name.
It's Hagar, I think. I'm pretty sure it's Hagar. Oh, you mean her real name?
Her real name, yes.
It's like on... I don't remember.
Something. Anyway, something Altean. So yeah, we find out that Zarkon married an Altean, had a child with this Altean, which I called, by the way, when Lotor showed up. I was like, "You're not Galra, you're definitely half Altean."
Yeah.
Which was cool. So this season we sort of get a little bit more explanation as to at least the origin of the evil Zarkon, why he got the way he is now, and honestly, it's kind of showing somewhat what Quintessence is. We've been looking at it as an energy source and various things like that, but it may also be a life force, or it may be some type of thing that can preserve your life forever, or that you can get addicted to, perhaps. That's at least what seemed to be the case with Zarkon's wife, and ended up possessing them. But what were we talking about? Lotor.
Lotor, yeah.
We were talking about Lotor, and we were talking about a little bit about Zarkon, and about having good motivation. That's cool. I want to hear more about Lotor, why he was exiled, why he hasn't been around. I feel like he's a cool character that I expect them to explore and will enjoy learning more about. But yeah, he does come in as very charismatic. He's super fun. Very conniving. Just seems very well practiced at his craft, which is deceiving people and getting. But I mean, at least he must at least be somewhat. I mean, he is charismatic, but he must also be at least somewhat merciful, or somewhat at least able to recognize usefulness and ability in others, because he has a team, which is cool too. I like that a lot. I like that we have, instead of having Zarkon,
his team is a beast,
who just throws down on all of his people and sends out his commanders and generals, we have Lotor, who fights alongside the people that he hires, who is a great fighter himself, and who has amassed this really cool team of awesome space babes that
they're
real cool.
They mostly work girls, yes.
Well,
I like that one of them.
You're as good looking.
I love that
as Lotor.
one of them Keith recognized as being one of the chicks
yes,
that was in.
I want to know that. I want to know that story so bad.
That was in that fish creature, right? That like the big tentacle creature that had the gems in them
yes,
that they
correct.
were using to power their ship or something.
Yes, they were trying to get enough of those things to make the gigantic Teledov.
Yeah, the Teledov.
To teleport Zarkon's ship away from all of his other ships.
Yes.
So that they could then attack his ship by itself, and not have to deal with the entire fleet of Galra ships.
Yeah.
Which happened, yeah. That was the last couple episodes of Season 2. Anyhoozles, Keith recognizes this person, and I think it was the more Altean looking one, the more human looking chick.
Yeah, the bluish chick, right?
Yeah.
Not the purple and pink one with the long
right.
tentacle
Yeah,
head
the one
thing.
that looks more like a regular human.
Yeah.
She has like blue hair, something like that.
Yeah, she's like an anime human.
Yes, she's like an anime human. Yes, very much so. That's really cool.
But yeah,
episode. But anyway, yeah, Lotor's cool, and it's cool that he has a team that we can sort of latch onto and learn about and enjoy just as much as the team that we have on the good side. Also,
there's a lot of questions that come with that though. Like, he was exiled before then. Like, why was he exiled? Why did they bring him back? If he was exiled, like, I mean, and it's just like all these different things.
It seems to me like exiled in this respect wasn't so much of you're no longer a part of the kingdom as it was I don't want you near me. Like Zarkon speaking to Lotor, I don't want you around. You can still go do what you do. Like, it was more like, here, I'm going to give you...
Also, part of it apparently had to do with him hiring... His teammates weren't all just Galra. They weren't all just that. They weren't all from that same planet.
And I would
race.
imagine Zarkon just didn't want to lose sort of the solidarity, I guess he might have built with the Galra race.
Yeah.
And so he probably, from what it looks like, is like he was just like, hey, look, I'm going to give you some autonomy. I need you to spread the Galra Empire.
Yeah.
Go do what you want to do over in this quadrant away from us.
Yeah.
And don't come over here and bother us.
And
so
they've been kind of doing this like
do.
Black Ops team basically thing, which is kind of neat.
Yes. It just seems like Lotor has been doing whatever he feels like doing in the specific space that he's been given, which has been amassing a team of cool people from different races, which is fun. Episode 2 is fun. I think it's all fun. I use the word fun too much. Episode 2 is interesting.
It's good
because that's when we start to see. That's when Keith gets a chance to lead the team for a bit through a very difficult and dangerous situation.
Poorly, yes.
Very poorly, yes. It's when he gets his wake up call and his sort of ego check to be like, hey,
you can't be the leader and the rebel.
Correct. You can't be an idiot and lead this team.
Yeah, no.
You have to be aware of the other people that are with you, and you have to listen to people on your team.
I also really like that the characters were very self-aware this season of their roles on the team, and that they talked about that, like, oh, Paige is the smart one, and Lance is the goofball, and Keith is the rebel, and I'm just like, okay, yeah, this is... It was neat that they were like, yeah, no, we're definitely archetypes, and they were being like self-aware of that, which was really kind of interesting. Yeah. And it was neat because that pointed that out at the beginning of the season, that towards the end of the season you start to see the differences, you start to see them change, and start to, like, because they personally realize that, hey, I've just been an archetype this whole time. They're like, I need to find my place in this team. I need to actually find how I'm actually helping this team, and so it was really neat.
It's really cool. Episode 2, we also get to see a lot of Lotor's capabilities. Just how smart he is, how experienced he is, how clever, and it's really, really cool. We also get to see Allura grow because she learns a new ability with her lion, which is cool. It's a good episode.
Super neat.
Yeah. It's super fun.
Lotor's just like, I love that he was just like single-handedly taking on Voltron. Like, they weren't at their best for sure, so that's one thing. Right. But it was still just a treat to see him just take him to church, basically.
And it's very much like his father in that way, in that he definitely seems capable and threatening.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
If he wanted to, he could end this. Like, this could be done. This could have been done. Like, if he really wanted to, he probably could have taken out several members of the team already.
Yeah,
he hasn't. Most likely because of
we're seeing that there's some greater plot here.
Right.
We're seeing something.
We're seeing a bigger arc develop.
He doesn't just want to kill Voltron. He needs Voltron for something. And so,
which was the same with Zarkon. Zarkon didn't want to destroy Voltron.
He wanted to capture
He always
Voltron.
wanted to have Voltron. Yes. And we're starting to see why now, which is super cool. And I guess we can talk about that as we go on. I don't exactly remember what episode 3 was. Oh, man.
The hunted was the trap.
Oh, okay. So episode 3 was the thing that I was just talking about. So episode 2, it leads into episode 3, I guess. Yeah. That's right. Episode 2 is when we see
Keith leading, and then he leads them into the trap. Which is in episode 3. Yeah.
Episode 3.
And that's when you see Allura find her special ability and stuff. Yeah.
Definitely. So episode 4, that's the hole in the sky. That's the one where we see this portal into another dimension. That's what it is.
A parallel universe, basically.
Yeah. And we learned that what's causing it is this comet, this big, I guess it's more of an asteroid, that's made of some material that can transcend realities. So it's this portal into a different reality.
Yeah.
And we also find out that that's what Voltron is made of.
Yeah, which is very interesting because I wonder what kinds of like does Voltron have like interdimensional capabilities? Like,
right? Yeah, that's what we're
like. We saw that it was able to pass through the dimensions without any trouble,
yeah,
basically, which was very neat.
But that also helps me understand why Voltron has been called the greatest power in the universe up through now, because through seasons 1 and 2 we've seen a lot of different worlds with really awesome technology. We've seen a lot of different magics. We've seen some crazy powerful things, and like everybody's got a robot, everybody's got spaceships, everybody's got some way of fighting, and everybody's got some kind of weapon. And so it's been kind of boggling my mind as of late as to why Voltron would be this great thing when anybody can build these other things, right?
Yeah.
We've got all these other abilities, but this is sort of explaining somehow it's not just like Voltron itself. It wasn't just a really well-made machine. It was made out of a crazy material that seems to be magical in some way,
and rare,
and indestructible,
rare,
and often also kind of has a mind of its own. We learn in episode 7.
Yeah, that's the thing, because I remember they talked in the first 2 seasons that Allura's father created the lions,
right?
And I found it like I just found it so odd that the lions had such like a psychic link and such a weird like magical presence and all these different things. Like it just felt like there was so much mystery tied in the lions, and I was like, how could this man have designed these creatures, these weapons basically, and them just not fully understand the weapons? But like episode 7 had a really good way of like kind of explaining that like basically like he was kind of more or less inspired by the material because of its some sort of psychic pull it had.
And he like sort of started making them, and it seems almost like they ended up making themselves.
Basically, yeah, that's how I felt about it too. Yeah, I was like, it looked like the more he would look into it, the more he would research into it. It basically just felt like they were just kind of like he even mentioned that I think at some point, like it's like when he was like kind of carving out of the rock and making these things the way they are, it just kind of like fell apart into what it was. Like he didn't like really think that much about it. It just kind of
the lions were just using him to become what they are, to become reality, I guess, to exist. Which is interesting. It makes you think, Voltron, because we understand that the lions have their own sort of personality, their own sort of soul, spirit, whatever you want to say, because they communicate with their pilots and they say, hey, this is what we should be doing right now. And then if the pilots are really in sync, they can learn different things about the lions and get different weapons, get different abilities through their lions by connecting with them. And so we learn now that it's more, I think it's just more like these are higher beings, or there's some type of otherworldly being that has all these abilities but requires a paladin to help them activate it, requires some type of pilot or some type of chosen being, sentient being, to help connect with them to make their power manifest, which is, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really neat.
Anyways, we were talking about episode 5. That's when they go
episode
to the other...
5 and 6 kind of meld together, because that's the both of them.
Right.
Episode 5 is they go into the...
not 5, no, episode 4.
Sorry, 4.
Episode 4 is when they have the whole... Episode 5 is Shiro's.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Episode 4 is when they're in this alternate reality.
You're right. I got mixed up.
They're in this alternate reality. They learn about... they learn that the Alteans are basically the Galra of this reality.
Yeah.
The new reality. The Alteans have taken over the entire galaxy.
It was very neat with the Alteans having like the technological way of war with like sapping the will of people. That's very interesting.
They plug a really crazy looking machine into the back of your head and they can just basically make you do whatever they want. Yeah. Which is creepy.
It was really creepy and weird.
And they're trying to get this comet as well because they know what it's made of and how important it is and yada yada yada. And we get to see an alternate reality Shiro and an alternate reality...
Oh, I don't remember his name.
Indian centipede otter guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember his name ever. But he's a good time. He's always fun whenever he's around.
Yeah. He's funny. The little centipede dude.
Yep, he's a good time.
So
But that was fun. I feel like... I wonder if that Shiro was a callback to anything from the 1980s series.
Maybe.
I feel like he might have been. But I'm not super sure about it. Anyways, long story short, they get the comet out, but that's what Lotor wanted them to do. Like, Lotor's the one who sent them to there in the first place. Like, he made the fake beacon.
Yeah, he knew that they would be able to help, or go through the portal, basically.
So they pull this comet out, and homeboy Lotor just yanks it from them, steals it, yoink, and just gets out of there. Then we have episode 5, which is again that's the Shiro episode, and I really like this episode. Super super cool.
It was interesting. It was confusing, which was interesting.
Super,
because it's like you see that Shiro shows up back on a Galra ship, but he doesn't know how he got there or why, and he has to basically break out again. And he's having he has a little bit of kind of a flashback of how he escaped before with the help of one of the guys from the Blade of Marmora. But here he's doing it on his own, and he stumbles upon a room where it looks like they're working on some possibly a clone of him.
I think
a robot of him.
I think that was just I think he just had a PSD moment.
Maybe he had
PTSD moment.
I
think he saw them working and he just immediately flashed back to when he was on the operating table. That's how I read it.
Okay.
At first I thought, oh man, is that a clone? But then I thought about it. I was like, no. Why would they have a clone? I don't. He still
I have no idea what their idea is, but maybe.
But I thought that's what, because it flashed back to him in the hallway, and then he was like, "No, I gotta get out of here."
Yeah.
So I just assumed that it was a flashback. I'm not. Otherwise, I figured he might try to help or change or
I guess that's
the people.
True.
I don't know. So yeah, I felt like
also
it was just a
he never brought it up with the team after he showed up.
That's also true.
And he also never he never a lot of times when they have things like that are kind of secret, a lot of times the characters will find some way they'll find some way to show that there's a conflict with them. With the audience, so the audience knows that there's a conflict, and we didn't see that either. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe
plus, they were going through different phases of what you assume to be a test of some sort.
Yeah,
and it said test 1 and test 2, so I assume those two were in his flashback in his mind, and that was part of what he was seeing when he saw himself on the operating table.
Yeah,
at some point they said test 1 was over, test 2 was over. When he escapes. And he gets on a ship and gets out of the Galra ship. That's when they say, okay, test 3 has begun. That's a new question we have. Have they been testing him this whole time?
Yeah.
It seems as though they had. It seems like test 2 was when he first left the Galra and when he was with the Paladins. But he left, so he flies down to this planet that's nearby. He finds a couple of Blade of Marmora rebels.
Yeah.
Does his best to convince them that he's a good guy and he's on their team.
They give up their only ship.
I was thinking about that before they even said it. I was like, this is your only ship, guys. What are you going to do?
They couldn't figure something else out. Yeah. I don't know. It was very kind of them.
It's cool.
But it was kind of thrown off as a joke. I feel like that's probably also kind of more of the filler bit too. At least their interactions with Shiro.
Yeah.
Because they were just so goofy the entire time.
They were pretty goofy. They were fun. But I enjoyed seeing him just be awesome. I enjoyed having Shiro because this was 4 episodes of no Shiro up till this point.
Yeah.
Which was far too long for no Shiro.
Far too long.
Far too long.
I was okay without Shiro, but it was still just that was still just something on the back of my mind.
No, you weren't.
What the heck?
Deep down, you weren't.
Yeah, okay.
Shiro's great.
Whatever.
I love seeing him again.
Shiro is good. Yeah, no, he was great.
I love seeing him be a total beast. Sort of,
just single-handedly break out of a Galra ship again.
Yes. Making his way back into the Galra fleet. Just flying his ship up to
chasing Voltron.
Ship.
Yeah.
Well, no, he flew his ship up to get back into a Galra ship.
Yeah.
He flew the crap ship off of the planet, got it blown up, and then flew into one of the the ports
to get
for the
into
guns.
the ship. Yeah.
Yes.
That was very
nuts.
neat.
Then he gets in there. He throws out one of the pilots for the ships. Gets in the ship himself. Blows his way out of the ship in the tiny little fighter ship.
Yeah, a little fighter.
He
tails Voltron. And he's able to follow it for about a week without food or water before
there's a lot of feels in that. My gosh.
Yeah, no, I thought he was gonna. I didn't think he was gonna straight up die, but I did not think Voltron was gonna find him. I thought he was gonna find some other contact or someone else was gonna save him or something. And they would have to. They'd be like. I figured we still wouldn't see. Yeah. I still didn't think Shiro was going to end up with Voltron by the end of the season.
But the fun thing is, it is the Black Lion that finds him.
Yes.
So it makes me think, okay,
he's still got some kind of connection
to at least the Black Lion, but probably Voltron. I imagine they'll have him in some way.
Yeah. And that was one thing that made me think about this. The more I was seeing this season, the more I was like, I want to look into some of the old Voltron because I was like, if it's anything like Power Rangers, is there a 6th paladin? Is there like a 6th ranger or extra Zords?
That's what I was wondering.
Those kinds of things. Like, is there like a dragon Zord? Like, you know what I mean? Like
something that'll be an attachment to
Voltron, yeah, to make it improve. And that was another thing that
you can turn into a big hoverboard.
That was another thing that
can be super cool.
Came up that I felt.
Imagine flying through space on a hoverboard, David.
Flying through space on a hoverboard. How would you do that, Ethan?
Zero would become the hoverboard.
Right. But I just I thought about that though when they found the comet. When they figured out what the comet was, like when they figured out the comet was what made.
Okay, yes.
Like, and when Lothar took it, I was just like, my first thought was he was gonna make a dark Voltron or something, like an alternate Voltron. But he did instead. He said made some sort of ship that was super fast, I think, or at least it was like giving up the same signature.
He was creating.
Came to the conclusion that the ship was what was made from the comet.
Yes, he did. Yeah, so he made a ship. That's true. I forgot about that. He made a ship out of the comet, or from what we understand, at least maybe a part of the comet. Which brings me to think, like these things might be parts or maybe torn up versions of other sentient beings that are at war with one another already. Like maybe like the Transformers are these creatures who are made out of metal, but they're somewhat organic or whatever, and they fight one another.
Yeah. Fun fact: when I saw the ship, when I was watching it, the way it was moving, the whole time I was just like, I kept like looking for like hints or clues to see like if the ship like could transform into something, like what it would like, would it be like because it's like I know like part of the wings look like arms and stuff like that. I was
that's
like,
what it looks like to me. It looks like a torso and arms.
Yeah, but I was like, I don't know, maybe not. But we'll see. It was neat.
Well, he's also creating. He was trying to steal parts of the Teledove that they used, that the Paladins used to port Zarkon's ship. So I don't know what he's doing. It looks like he could be creating. It looks like he could be trying to recreate some sort of portal.
Yeah.
Open up some portal to a reality. I don't know.
My conclusion is that, or my theory, I guess, is that he's trying to find more of these comets. He's trying to find more of this stuff, and either he's going to try and make like their own Voltron, basically, because that's something that they seem to kind of hint at. Or he's going to try to make a weapon that can basically single-handedly beat Voltron, so that when they do defeat Voltron, they'll have a Voltron, basically, or have a weapon strong enough to kill a Voltron, so that they basically have that with them the entire rest of the show. And I feel like it also somehow ties back to Quintessence.
Yes.
Because they were talking about how this comet and where it comes from or whatever had like the purest form of Quintessence. So that's one thing that Pidgey mentions, that it looks like Lothar is trying to find like purer and purer forms of Quintessence.
Indeed.
And
I want to know how old Lothar is.
Yeah, me too, because we know Zarkon
Zarkon and Hagar are 10,000 years old.
Yeah, but they've been kept alive by the Quintessence.
Because they've been crazy Quintessence zombies for 10,000 years.
Yeah.
So I'm like, did they make a baby recently within the past 20, 30 years, and that's Lothar? Or did they make this baby before they had Quintessence zombie-ness, and Lothar has found a way to live for 10,000 years?
Yeah, maybe
because he doesn't seem to be possessed.
Maybe his exile was some kind of stasis or something like the Alteans. And they just like unfroze him or whatever, or got him out.
Yeah, I don't know. Questions.
Yes.
But yeah, most of my questions revolve around Lothar. Another thing is like, what's Hagar gonna do? Episode 7, from what we understand, is a combination of Hagar porting into Zarkon's mind.
Yeah.
And while he's asleep, and Karan telling us the story of Voltron and how Voltron came to be, and Zarkon's conflict with King Alfor.
Yes, the original Paladins.
Correct.
With the first Voltron, Onerva, that was the Hagar's name before she became.
Gotcha.
Before it's like spelled with an H, but the H I feel like they've been pronouncing it silently, so I think it's Onerva. Like I was thinking when I was watching it, it was like Minerva, but with an H.
That's Zarkon's wife.
She's the Altean alchemist, that was working on the comet that she was testing the comet and testing this like quintessence, like portal where the comet landed, to figure out its it felt a little bit Kingdom Hearts with her thing, like this kind of like mad scientist looking into the darkness basically and kind of finding like power and strength and things like that, and so she was just like kind of like doping herself with quintessence, but it had this like escalation where it's like first she's like doping her cat, which her cat looks very similar to the Lotor's buddy, like blind friend's cat.
I think it's probably the same race. I don't think it's the same cat.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. But she has this cat she's been feeding quintessence. I mean, maybe it could be because if she's been feeding quintessence, but I don't know what the connection would be.
Even at that point, it looked like that cat was still looked old.
Yeah, it still looked like it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't going.
Whenever it was old, and this current cat looks young.
Yeah,
spry.
Also, time is very, like tough to get to fathom because they all have like their own terms for time. Like they said the cat was like 10 decaphoebs or something like that. I'm like, how long is that? What the heck?
Nope,
like I don't know.
No idea.
It was very weird, but you know,
That
it was
is
like
true.
I got that it was like a big deal. And then she starts using quintessence on herself, and it's making her go crazy. And like Zarkon like tries to help her, and you know, the two of them. It felt odd that this is one of the big problems I had with him is it like it felt like at first that Zarkon was just like kind of like I guess misunderstanding what the problem was. He wasn't thinking clearly. Basically, he was like he wanted to be able to protect people, and so he was trying to find power a lot like Riku in Kingdom Hearts, and then like
or Tony Stark,
and then he got this power through the quintessence, and he realized that like messing with the quintessence was a mistake. They got this like some sort of creature that showed up on the other side, and it was bothering them and stuff like that. And he realized that you know I've done a bad, you know, things like that. And so he went to go help them, but it turns out he was just really trying to hurt them. But I was like, I don't understand his motivations for doing that. Like why is he trying to create this darkness? Does he feel like this darkness will give him power? Like it ended up doing that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was just like in the process he basically like had his mind wiped, and he basically like. We find that Alfor destroyed Zarkon's planet because the darkness was getting out. Like it was going to spread and it was going to kill more people. And so he evacuated Zarkon's planet. It's not like he didn't like wipe out his race. But he had to destroy the planet. So he destroyed the planet and it closed the rift. And then Zarkon wakes up from death basically at his own funeral, or like, you know, after his funeral's over. His friends are all mourning him, and he just shows up and he's just like, "You guys killed my planet, so I'm going to kill your planet." And I'm just like, like at that point he's like doped up and we kind of understand, but it just at that point it still just felt like he was just like just evil because he's evil now.
Again, I feel like it'll lie in the quintessence. Just like how Voltron needed paladins to bring its own righteous force into the world. I feel like this quintessence or whatever being might be channeling through the quintessence into Zarkon and Hagar needed hosts for its business, and it needed a proper host with proper I guess anger or hatred or
some
angst,
kind of
and that whatever this force is found that in Zarkon and Hagar.
I like that in this episode as well, the final episode of this season, Hagar realizes that she is Honorva, she is Zarkon's wife.
Yes.
And I wonder how that's going to affect their dynamic in the show.
That's another question. That's another interesting thing that we're going to have to see or deal with.
Yeah.
Or that she's Lotor's mom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These are all fun things that they will hopefully delve into in the next season. It's real cool. Anyways, Voltron, it's good.
Yeah.
Watch it. Watch season 3.
It's a stellar season.
Well, I mean, I assume you've watched it already, unless you just wanted to listen to us.
If you want to listen to us talk about one season of it,
But yeah, go watch it all. It's great. Give it all your thumbs up and your likes and all your money.
While you're at it, you should give us some thumbs up and some likes. And
money. Do that.
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not. Do it.
I'm not.
Next up, we're going to talk about my segment. I'm going to talk about something that we both experienced together, but that's fine, which is the Dark Tower.
Yeah.
But the reason I want to talk about it is because, again, I've harped before about adaptations and different things like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just like talking about it.
Yeah, we had a really neat discussion about it a couple episodes ago.
I like this movie, The Dark Tower.
Oh, do you?
I had a good time. It was fun. The villain was engaging and threatening.
Oh, yeah, he was scary.
The good guy was cool, and Idris Elba.
He was indeed Idris Elba, yes.
The kid was fine. Let's see. I don't think it's doing great on... Yeah,
no, it's not.
It's not doing great.
Real not.
Great critically, I guess, but... I don't care.
It,
I thought it was
yeah, it's engaging and it's fun. But yeah,
this is an example I feel of when people's expectations absolutely ruin a decent adaptation.
Yeah.
Or a decent movie. Like, I feel like it's a fine movie.
Yeah, I think it
and
was.
I feel like all the people who are upset with it are people who read the book and expected this movie to be the book when it probably was never going to be that.
Yeah.
And then they were disappointed by that.
Yeah. So my thing is, when we talk about adaptations, we talked about it a little bit in our, like I said, in a previous episode. When I thought about that, when I was watching this movie, I was thinking about, you know, like the adaptations that I didn't care for, like the adaptations that went wrong, and I was wondering, you know, what caused that. And so, like, when I started looking at things like Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad, I was like, not only were those like movies like not great adaptations of those characters, but they just weren't great movies. Like, they just weren't well done. Like, it was just like, you know, it was just very confusing and awful, especially for newer audiences. But like The Dark Tower, it's just like, you and I have never read the books. I remember getting people asking me before I saw the movie, hey, are you going to read the books first? And I was just like, nah, because if I read the books first, I'm going to come in there like and just be upset because it's not the book. But at the same time, I feel like also I probably, knowing what I know, I probably would have like come into the movie with an expectation that it's not going to be like the book. You know what I mean? Like, if anything, it's going to be based on the book, but not that close. But I felt the movie did a good job. It had a really neat arc. It had a very strong like hero's journey type thing, like the call to do good and all those different things like that. Like, it was neat, and I like those kinds of stories. Like you said, Idris Elba did a great job as the gunslinger, and Matthew McConaughey played the Man in Black very well, and he was definitely scary. Like, he reminded me of the Purple Man from Jessica Jones.
Yeah, he did.
Very excellent villain.
Yes, I think so too. I enjoy this film, and I'll probably own it eventually. I think it's fine.
Yeah, I'll probably own it.
One of the reasons I like this is because this is a really cool concept.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really fun story with cool characters. Like I said, I like the gunslinger character. I think he's cool.
Yeah.
He has a cool old samurai cowboy feel about him. He's the last of his kind.
Mm-hmm.
He's fighting this big bad guy, but he's got some special thing about him that allows him to beat to be a rival to the bad guy.
Yeah.
He's not susceptible to the bad guy's magic, what have you. Cool, fun. I personally wish we could have had more of the demons, more of the things that they
like
fought
the
real
threats,
early,
basically.
Real early on. He fought that. There was one that escaped or whatever. I wish we would have seen more of that. That's my only complaint, or not my only complaint. That's one of my major complaints. I wish we could have seen more of that. That would have been a lot more fun. I feel fighting people other than just goons with guns.
Yeah. And even then, the goons with the guns, you see that they're like wearing like human skins, like they're disguised as humans, but they're not humans. But they never like really go into that. And to me, it didn't bother me that much, because I know that what little I do know about the Dark Tower, I know it's like a series of books. Like, I know it's a long series of books, and there's a bunch of them. And this movie was really short. Like, it was like an hour and a half, and so I wasn't expecting all my questions to be answered. I was expecting there to be lots of things that were just like, you know, neat little things that we'd come onto later, and it felt a lot like when we were talking about the Dark Universe with the Mummy, and how like you didn't like how there was all these little like Easter eggs that, you know, you like all these like hints for an extended universe or whatever. But it's like, for this, it didn't feel like that, because you and I don't know anything about this series. It's just like, but there were little things where we're just like, what is this? Where is that? And like, and it was compelling.
And those things were just Easter eggs in this movie. They weren't. No one in this movie was like, hey, we've got a big group of these guys, and there's this other conflict coming up, and we want you to be ready for it. Yeah. So we're going to band together and do all this nonsense.
Yes.
No, this was just a movie.
The movie had beginning, a middle, and an end.
It had a straight-up story, and it was fine. Yeah. I think that was perfectly okay.
And it lends it, like, with the movie has a strong, like, it's got a strong, like, multiverse type
Yeah.
theme or sort of setting, basically, where that it's like they establish that there is multiple dimensions or multiple universes or planes of existence of some kind, and there's ways to travel between them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like I love that. I love those kinds of stories, and I love that this one was executed well because there's a lot of ways they could do it wrong.
Yeah.
But it was definitely that where it's like these characters are characters that know of these alternate dimensions and can travel to them at any way anytime they want,
Right.
and things like that. And so I felt that lended itself to plenty of future stories and future movies where they go into these other planes and see other things.
I think they're planning to make it a TV series. From what
Yeah, that's what I heard, which makes more sense for a series of books.
Yeah,
but I thought it was really neat for a movie. Like I thought this was great. It made me want to know more. Like it made me want to read the books too. That's another thing we've talked about that. Like,
and I feel like that's a good adaptation. And also, you have to think about the fact that this is a movie, so you need to make a good movie, and you need to adapt a story that will be a good movie, rather than expecting someone to latch on or to jump on board for a several movie set, like a franchise thing. I don't like that. I don't want that. You can't expect everything in the book to be in the movie, because books are good places for world building. They're good places for explaining a whole bunch of things to the reader, so that the reader can get a better grasp of what's going on. But those things are not as easily handled in movies.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sit around and hear somebody talk about the origins of this race or why this city is so interesting or the background.
Yeah.
Of all this. I want to see a movie.
There wasn't a whole lot of exposition.
I came here.
It was really neat.
I came here to watch a guy shoot a bunch of people. And I came here to watch
this. The movie had a lot of showing and not telling. It was really neat.
And that's what a movie does. A movie does action well, and it does characters
and experiences.
Experiences, yes. Yeah. It's not as big on world building. I think that's a lot of people's complaints that I hear. It's like, oh, it wasn't anything like the book, or oh, they left out all this nonsense from the book. And I was like, well, they're gonna leave out stuff.
Yeah.
They just are.
Yeah.
We were talking with a guy beforehand who was we were all sitting down for the movie, and he was just chatting us up about movies and things like that. Apparently a good movie lover, movie goer.
Yeah.
But he was talking about the runtime for this movie, and he was like, it's only 95 minutes. And I was like, that sounds great. And he was like, but it doesn't. This needs to be longer.
Yeah, he was talking about this movie need to be like a 2.5 hour movie.
Right,
but it's
and
just
he mentioned Lord of the Rings, and he was like, we've already proven that people can come out and support very long, epic fantasy and sci-fi.
Yeah.
And so there's no reason why this shouldn't be that long. But my point of my thinking in that was Lord of the Rings, they still left out stuff.
Yeah,
they still left things out of the movie.
They had to.
They had to. Exactly.
Like,
because
not only that, but it's like not only that, but the Lord of the Rings movies that people tend to see on DVD and stuff now is like their extended versions and stuff like that. Like they were cut down a little bit for the theaters to begin with.
Even the full versions of the movies were cut down. The full versions left out stuff from the books.
Yeah.
And then they were cut down again for the theatrical
Something
release.
I noticed
So, like,
when I came home from the Dark Tower, I pulled up that one of the trailers I saw from the movie, and there's a lot of stuff in the trailer that we just never saw in the movie.
Right.
So I'm like, there's probably plenty of stuff that they were going to do or planning to do that just didn't get to, or they cut for time and stuff.
Yeah.
But I felt like what they did with the movie was they brought it down to really what was important. Like I don't know, and so this is another thing about like. This is something that also I think we have a problem with because we don't have the knowledge of the adaptation. But like when we were talking about the Ghost in the Shell adaptation, a lot of people didn't like the Ghost in the Shell adaptation because not just because the actors were white and things like that, but also because thematically the story didn't follow. It didn't have the same kind of like theme.
Message.
It didn't have the same message as the original material. And so like I don't know the Dark Tower. I don't know if they actually hit on any of the messages in the Dark Tower.
Right.
But even if they did it, I thought the messages here were really well executed.
Yeah.
I thought they were very neat, and I thought it was intriguing.
I didn't regret buying a ticket to this movie.
No, not at all.
I didn't walk out and be like, man, that was terrible. Like I have for other movies that weren't based off of books.
Yeah.
Like
And we were with
I've had for movies that are based.
We
off
were
of
with
books.
friends of ours who are filmmakers that are normally super critical of movies, and they were like, no, this was fine. This was it did a lot of great things as a movie. Like again, like. you know, say what you want about it being
this
an
was
adaptation.
a terrible book.
It
Sure,
might have been a terrible adaptation,
but it was a good movie.
But it was actually a decent movie.
Yes,
I was enjoying it. Yeah,
it was fine as a movie. I think that's people just don't understand that the movie is not going to be what they imagine in their heads, and it's not going to be the book. It very rarely will be the book.
Yeah,
just try to judge it on whether or not it's a good movie.
Yeah.
And this one I feel is. Another thing, two things about this adaptation that I feel are good for it. One, like you mentioned earlier, it makes you want to know more about the series, so it makes me want to go back and read books.
Yes.
It makes me want to think about the series or to learn more about it or talk about it with people. The other thing is that this, or like I mentioned on our adaptation episode, is that sometimes if something doesn't get made into a movie, there are certain people who will never be exposed to it.
Yes.
I am one of those people. Yeah. I would never pick this book up and read it.
No.
And if someone was like, hey, Ethan, you should read this book, I'd probably be like, nah.
Yeah.
I got things to do.
Yeah.
I like reading books, but I barely have time for it.
Yeah.
I won't.
You and I are pretty picky about what we spend our time doing.
Precisely. I have 6 books on my shelf right now that I haven't finished yet, and I'm probably not going to read anything else until I finish those.
Yeah.
So, and that'll probably take 8 years.
Yeah.
Because I get to read, you know, like when I go on vacation twice a year.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's really it. And it's just that if this movie had never been made, I never would have even heard of this series.
Yeah.
But now I like it. I can give it my money. I can give it my support. This series has gained another fan because it had a good adaptation. Yeah. Good being, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a good movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all enjoy it. From what I understand, most people who are fans of the book were not fans of the movie, which is fine. You don't have to be. But yeah, I feel like
6
this
out of
movie...
10 on IMDb, 18% on Rotten Tomatoes. I heard it was 12% on Rotten Tomatoes. It must have gone up. I don't know.
78% like this movie on Google though. Look at that.
Okay.
Nice. I don't know. I feel like it was fine. I feel like it was a good movie, and I'd probably see it again.
And this isn't the first movie that I enjoyed that was critically panned.
Yeah,
basically.
Same here.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
A lot of the movies I like, people are just like, well, this is, and I'm just like, it's fine.
I like Push.
Yeah.
I like, we like that Dracula movie. Dracula
Untold.
Untold, yeah.
Yep. Oh, yeah. No, I thoroughly enjoyed that movie, but it did not do well.
Nah. But, and that's fine. I don't know. I thought it was good.
Maybe we're weird. Ethan, are we weird?
We're definitely weird.
Let us know in the comments if we're weird.
Anyways, it's a fine movie, and it's fine.
I thought so too, yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Again, at this point, I judge movies by whether or not I regretted buying a ticket when I walked out.
Yeah.
And I definitely regretted buying a ticket to The Mummy.
Yeah, no. I
that
could feel
was
that.
Real dumb.
I could feel that.
But I didn't regret this. It was good. It was a fun movie.
Yeah.
Again, cool main characters, cool villain with good motive, good-ish motives. I don't know.
We don't know. We don't know.
He apparently just loves chaos.
Well,
some people just like to watch the world burn.
We didn't really understand his tie with the demons and stuff like that. He seemed to have some sort of deal worked out with them that he wanted to.
Yeah, something like that.
I think he also represented death in this.
To destroy all worlds. Yeah, he was some type of warlock, which means maybe he had control over the demons. Maybe they were scared of him. He apparently could also hurt them too. So
yeah. I don't know. I thought it was fine. And also, I also felt because of the way, like,
the way the gunslinger defeated him was so cool,
spectacular. Yeah,
I liked the slow mo in this movie, and again, one of the things I liked about it was that it was used to show me something that I otherwise would not see. Yeah, that then made the experience
relating to guns
cooler and better. Yeah, right. So like, I've never seen someone flip 6 bullets out of his belt into midair, all in one nice little package, and then slide them into his gun really quickly. If he had done that at regular speed, I probably wouldn't have seen it.
I also like that they didn't use slow motion in scenes that made more sense to be fast, like when he was reloading the gun by putting bullets in it as it was spinning. Yes. I thought that was excellent.
Was super cool. Right. Yeah, and so like, I enjoy that. You know, like back in Wonder Woman, I don't need you to slow things down so I can watch a girl throw some knives and kick some guy in the face. Yeah. Just do that. Yeah. Just show me how ninja she is and let her do that. Yeah. Without slowing it down. However, I would need you to slow something down so I can see you shoot a bullet at someone, ricochet another bullet off of a wall, hit it into that bullet so that he can't catch it, and then hit him in the heart. That's super cool.
Yeah.
Gosh, that was a cool scene. Yeah. Anyways,
it's very cool. No, I really
think it was a good use of slow-mo.
Yeah, I thought it was great. But like I was saying earlier, like even with the man in black taken down, because of this multiverse world setting and all the demons outside of the multiverse, it lends itself to being there are plenty of other villains just like him out there doing something.
Definitely.
And so
yep. Oh, yep. That one complaint I mentioned when we came out. Mm-hmm. So there's a scene where a gunslinger guy is teaching gunslinger boy how to shoot a gun.
Yes.
And so they're holding these like 45 Magnum revolvers and they're shooting.
Yeah. One-handed.
One-handed
yes.
at these cans in this building. Have you ever shot one of those, David?
Never a 44, no.
So
I've shot a 22 before.
I have. And I call shenanigans. There's a little kid who's like 12.
Hey man, he had the shine.
He's holding this gun and shooting, and when he shoots it, when it goes off, he gets no recoil. Zero recoil.
Yeah.
None. And if he was this kid with no experience with guns is holding this gun, shoots it with one hand, that gun would have flown back and just knocked his brains out. Like it would have knocked his eyeball out of his head through the back of his head. Like it just would have just clunked him.
Yeah.
From the recoil on that gun. It is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
I don't know, man.
I call shenanigans on that.
Yeah, sure. The kid had psychic powers, and this is also not the first time movies have done this.
Whatever.
But
also, that was
it was also really neat that they were like doing the whole like I do not kill with my
right.
gun, I kill with my heart, and
but
those
like,
kinds of things. So
that took me out of that moment right there, just from my experience. Like I think it would have been cooler to see him maybe like have a hard time with the recoil of the weapon. Then you could have appreciated more that homeboy Idris Elba doesn't have a problem with the recoil.
Yeah. Okay, I get that. No, that would have that would have made
his character cooler.
That would have made that scene cooler, I guess. But yeah, I thought it was. I also like that like he shoots one can and it doesn't prove anything. Basically, like he shoots the can and the guy's just like my gun is my weapon. Your weapon is your powers. Yeah, your shine.
They refer to their psychic ability as their shine.
Yeah, and so I was like, we don't need this kid to necessarily be a master gunslinger after one shooting session.
Anyway, another plot point I guess that would be important to mention for those of you listening to this who may not know anything about this movie is that the children from our world occasionally have psychic abilities that they refer to as shine, and the warlock, what is his name?
The Man in Black. Oh, I don't remember what his real name was.
Yeah, anyway.
I can't remember.
The Man in Black.
Because Roland was the gunslinger.
Will Smith is... no.
Will Smith.
The Man in Black has been kidnapping children and applying their psychic power to a weapon that it can use to fire at the Dark Tower, to destroy the Dark Tower in order to allow demons to enter every realm, so he can, I guess, be the master of all dark things. Whatever.
Neat.
Anyways, yes, that's more or less the plot. But yeah, that's my review of the Dark Tower, David.
Yeah, I liked it. I agree with it.
Go see it if you want. If you don't want to, that's fine too.
Yeah.
If you want a decent movie to eat popcorn to and watch some interesting things happen, this is a good movie for that.
Redbox.
If you're just looking for something to watch, go for it.
Yeah. If you don't want to go see it in the theaters, Redbox it. It's worth a watch. But yeah. All right. So
bring it on, David. Talk to me.
Today, I'm going to talk about Overscratch. No, I'm just kidding. I call it that at home. I'm talking about Overwatch today. Maybe you've heard of it. I don't know.
No, what's that?
It's a little. Maybe this indie company called Blizzard.
Oh yeah. I think I've heard of them.
They made this MMO. It got really popular. I think at one point called World of Warcraft.
Nah. Is that related to that movie called Warcraft?
Maybe. I think so.
Possibly.
Just maybe tangentially. But
another movie that I felt was fine.
Yeah, no, I thought it was good too. So I'm talking about Overwatch today. So I love this game. So first of all, I guess to explain a little bit for those of you who have been living under a rock and or just don't play this game.
I don't play this game. Except for that one time you put me in front of the TV and gave me a controller and were like, hey, play this game for like a bit.
A bit.
And I did. For a bit. And that was done.
All right. So Overwatch is a first-person shooter game, so similar to like Halo and Call of Duty and those kinds of things, but it has kind of MOBA elements. MOBA being a multiplayer online battle arena. So
I consistently forget what that stands for.
MOBA.
Everyone's like, "Oh, I was playing this MOBA," and I'm like, "Yeah, I've heard that term." Nope, I don't know what you mean.
League of Legends is a MOBA.
Yeah, I know what MOBAs are. I just have no idea what that means.
What it means.
Anytime anyone says that, like, I've forgotten just now what it means. What does it stand for?
Multiplayer online battle arena.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So basically, the way it works is that in MOBAs in general, but also specifically in Overwatch, you have two teams of players fighting against one another, and each of the teams has like different characters that have different roles that affect the way the team works as a unit. And so, like, you have support characters and tank characters, attack characters, and defense characters. And so it's really neat because each person that plays the game can get a little something out of it for different ways. Like, for instance, I and a lot of my friends tend to play support characters. So we tend to take, like, kind of a backline attitude for the game. We try to, like, help out where we can and do little different things. While other people might want to play characters like Genji and Soldier 76, who are like more offensive characters that just like go up into the fray and shoot people and Call of Duty one another.
So you play the loser characters, and other people play the cool characters.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Something like that. Hey man, someone's gotta do it.
I'm just talking.
You're talking to the guy who plays white mages in Final Fantasy.
Yeah, what a loser.
What a loser. Yeah. So I think it's really neat. Before I played Overwatch, I played League of Legends a bunch, and I don't really play League of Legends that much anymore.
Before I played Overwatch, I lived on the street, dressed in rags. But then I found a PlayStation 4 and a computer and a microphone and a camera. Got me a Twitch account. Now I live in a mansion.
Yeah, something like that.
Thanks, Overwatch.
No, yeah. So
before I played Overwatch,
before I played Overwatch, I played League of Legends, and when Overwatch first came out, I stopped really playing.
What did we do before Overwatch?
I stopped playing League of Legends because
it was inferior.
Probably no. League of Legends is neat, but
no offense to all of you League players.
No, definitely.
All one of you.
All one of you.
Oh, got him.
I like League a little bit, but I don't play it as much. But yeah, so one of the problems I had with Overwatch or League of Legends that I didn't have a problem with Overwatch was that League of Legends, the games are longer. Like a regular game of Overwatch can last anywhere between 40 minutes and like an hour, maybe an hour and a half if it drags, basically. While the longest game in Overwatch is like maybe 20-30 minutes tops, basically. Like the games you're meant to get the objectives quickly, you're meant to hit the points, whatever it is. So in Overwatch there's different kinds of objectives. You're either trying to, generally it is your team is trying to protect, sit in a square on the map and protect that square on the map, basically this objective. You either have to sit on the square and keep everybody out of the square, or you have to get to the square and take the people that are guarding it out, or the square is a payload and it's a truck that's moving and you have to get that truck safely to its destination, basically, while keeping people off of it. So it's a lot of like conflict, but you have
a truck full of cocaine.
Maybe, I don't know.
They never explain why the truck is so important.
Nope. The only one that you kind of get an idea for. I mean, you kind of get an idea for all of them. Like
you've been duped into helping a cartel move a bunch of drugs from one side of the town to the other.
Yeah, something like that.
Fighting against the rival cartel.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, the only one you can kind of get a little bit of story off of.
You can quote me on that, parents. Your kids are smuggling drugs for cartels.
Yeah, okay. In Hollywood.
In virtual space.
In Hollywood.
Right. Hollywood being a map.
Being a map, yes.
Yep.
Each of the maps is based off a location, or it has a location that's like it's named after a location in the real world, or it's not a real world location, but it's based in a real world location. Like Volskaya Industries is based in Russia, but it's not a real place because it's not a real company. But Hollywood.
Yeah, Russia's not real.
But Hollywood is in that map. You're transporting a limo from one end of these like sets basically to the other end of these sets.
Gotcha.
And there's all kinds of different sets where it's like, you know, like kind of an old west set. There's like a town. There's all kinds of different things. But you're trying to get
so a really important person in there.
Yeah, and you can hear him like kind of talking to you from inside the vehicle, like, you know, like he's on the cell phone.
Who does it sound like?
It sounds like Travis Willingham.
Is that the one who voices him?
I probably, I don't know. That's the name of a voice actor I really like, but he doesn't really voice any other characters. It sounds like him, but I have no idea if it is.
Does
or
he
not.
voice someone in the game?
No.
Okay. Who does he do?
He does Roy Mustang in Fullmetal Alchemist. He does. He plays Grog from Critical Role on Geek and Sundry.
Okay, gotcha.
He plays a bunch of different roles. He's in somebody in Aquarion. He plays the soccer player in that. I can't remember something you've seen him in, but he's been in a lot of different things. In Voltron.
Is he in Voltron?
He's in this third season of Voltron.
Oh.
Very briefly.
Oh.
You know, in that first episode when they introduced Lotor, there's the two Galra people talking to one another in the stands. He plays the one that just stays in the stand that's been talking to him the whole time. He's playing that Galra. I recognize his voice, and I had to pause.
That's funny.
So Netflix credits, like, as soon as Netflix credits rolls, it shrinks that screen, and you can't see anything. And so I had to keep, like, hurrying up and, like, pulling that screen down so I could actually read the credits in time to see it. And he's in the additional voices, Travis Willingham.
Yeah.
But that's the only episode he's in this season. He just plays that one Galra guy, and I'm just like, he's such a good voice actor. What is he doing? But I don't know. They don't have this show's not very fully character driven.
Sorry, we're back into Voltron.
All the tangents.
Do we know who plays Lotor?
I didn't look him up. I didn't actually look into his character. Anyway, while you do that, I'm gonna talk about Overwatch.
No.
So yes,
I'm gonna force you to stop everything.
So you have all these characters fighting over these points, basically, or these payloads, whatever the case may be. And so the objective of the game is not to just like straight up murder one another like it is in Call of Duty and in Halo and things like that. You have a thing you're trying to do with your team together. Now that's not always how it works out, just because for whatever reason people are so used to playing first-person shooters where they're just like running around killing one another that like kind of that's how a lot of people play Overwatch, and it's really frustrating even like now, like because the game is like a year old and I'm still having to yell at my teammates to like sit down on the point, like get in the dang square so we can move this game along here.
That's right, because I mean people just want to shoot one another, right? So
they just want to run around and fight. Yeah, they don't want to actually like
think this is Halo.
Yeah, and it's just like, come on, guys. This is, But anyway, so I tend to play like the more supporty characters like Mercy and Zenyatta, the healer characters. I also played a little Lucio as well. But yeah, each of these characters have their own little like play styles. They have their own little like powers and abilities and things like that help them win games in the different sections of the game. And so that's really neat. And I have a character from each of the sections. So the sections are attack, defense, tank, and support. So that way, if a team needs like, we need another attacker, or we need another defense player, I can be like, okay, I'll play this character, and that's someone I'm familiar with, and I can step into the game and play those characters. And so that really helps. Are you figuring it out?
No, Dave, it's so hard. I don't understand.
I know, I was having trouble trying to find a Nerva because there was like no cast lists of season 3 of Voltron, so I was having real trouble trying to find that. But yeah, so anyway, one of the major things I wanted to talk about here today with Overwatch is like one of the things I think that stands out to me, and like one of the reasons I play the game is because, like I mentioned earlier, there's a little bit of something for everybody. For me particularly, I am so bad at first-person shooters. It's like unreal.
I don't know who this is.
AJ Locasio?
Yep.
I have no idea who he is.
No idea.
That's cool.
Whatsoever.
I don't know. Now that I'm looking at his IMDb, he played Marty McFly in the Back to the Future Telltale game.
I was about to say,
which came out a long time ago.
I didn't know there was a Telltale game for that.
Yeah, there is a Telltale game for. I haven't played.
Yeah, we're talking about Prince Lotor.
Prince Lotor from Voltron, and he also plays. He's in Dawn of the Cruise, which I don't watch, but he was in an episode of Rocket Jump called Fan Friction, where he plays the Doctor / Jon Snow.
That's cool.
It's a really funny sketch video they did. It was really neat. But
He's in Star Ocean. Look at that.
yeah, he's got a bunch of little roles in there.
He's on Hey Ash, what's your point?
Yeah, so I think he has some sort of YouTube presence or something because he's been in a
so.
lot of YouTube videos apparently. But yeah. Anyway,
any hoozles.
Overwatch. So yeah, like I was mentioning before, I like the healer characters like Mercy and Zenyatta, and it helps because their characters don't have to do a lot of like aiming and shooting and stuff like that. Because I'm really bad at that. I'm really bad at first-person shooters.
It's a first-person shooter for people that don't play first-person shooters.
Yeah, it's very neat because, like I said, like even if you don't play, and if you do like first-person shooters, you can play characters like Soldier 76, who was one of the attack characters, who's just basically his abilities are dashing and healing and shooting. You know what I mean? He just shoots guns, and it's very cool.
You tell me there's a character in here that can shoot a gun?
Yes, Ethan.
I'm on board, David.
I'm telling you that. But yeah, so I tend to play characters that don't have to aim much. Soldier is the main character I play for attack, and I only really play him because he's like probably one of the less mobile of the characters. And I only say that like you'd think mobility would be a great thing. Like most people that play like competitively play the mobile characters like Genji, Tracer, Pharah, and things like that. But the problem I have with those games is I have trouble like getting my bearings and keeping up like where I am and what I'm doing in the game because the screen changes so much. Like with Tracer, you dash forward and dash backwards and you reverse time and goofy things like that. And Pharah, you're like jumping up and down, and it's like hard for me to like aim and fly and shoot, and especially because I play the game on console. I play it on PlayStation 4. You can also play it on PC, which I hear is superior. Which I don't necessarily doubt because like a lot of the game is different. It's easier to shoot people with a mouse and keyboard, and a lot of competitive players play on PC. I would also play on PC if it wasn't for the fact that Blizzard has made it like there's no way for me to play on PC and still keep all of the skins I've collected from loot crates in the console
you gotta
version.
have your swag. You can't go nowhere without your swag.
You say that, and like I do feel that, but it's just like it would be one thing if like I hadn't spent any money on this game, but I've actually spent money on loot boxes, even though people say not to do that, because I really wanted like special skins and things, and I got all of those skins. And so I'm just like, I don't want to like not have those skins that I paid for.
That's how Brawlhalla gets me.
Yeah,
they release exclusive skins through their different chests.
Yeah,
and you can only get those skins from those chests. You can't just purchase those skins.
Yep.
So I'm just like,
yeah, and it's neat. Like that's how League of Legends gets players to come back. I'm hearing now in next month, they're releasing 5 new Sailor Scout skins. So
I might get into this game just for that, David.
So
I've never played that in my life.
A while ago, they released 5 Star Guardian skins where they gave 5 different characters to Sailor Moon-esque skins, and now
Star Guardian, I like that.
Star Guardian,
good generic name. I always like when people name things generically.
Generic, yeah.
Like at your work today, there was a giant inflatable magical horse,
a rainbow pony, or rainbow something,
just
but it looked like Rapidash.
Generic Rainbow Dash, yeah. That's
like when I went to that one convention and I bought a plush Spheal, a Pokemon Spheal for somebody, and she was selling it as a silly seal.
Yeah, because it was a homemade thing. It wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, she didn't have it licensed or anything. But yeah, but no. So they have the Star Guardians, and so in this current thing, they're coming out with 4 new skins that are going to represent like the older, more experienced scouts, like what is it, Uranus and not Uranus? Who are the other scouts that show up later on?
The Outer Planets.
Yeah, the Outer Planets. Those characters.
So
those
Neptune,
ones.
Uranus, Saturn, Pluto.
Saturn. Yeah. So there's gonna be 4. There's gonna be 4 new scouts that are representing the outer planets. And as well as a 5th skin, which is going to be Ezreal as like a tuxedo mask type. Skin. So we're gonna have 10 Sailor Scout and Tuxedo Mask skins. They're even releasing a game mode in League of Legends where you get a team of characters and you guys are playing the Star Guardian characters and you're fighting it's an AI thing, I think, where you're fighting enemies that are reskins of other characters to represent like monsters, like Freak of the Week type monsters that they would fight, like scary Stompy Beast and things like that. Like it's very neat. I think it's interesting. But anyway, Overwatch is doing Overwatch has done a lot of different kinds of events as well like this to try and celebrate whatever is whatever the new season is and things like that. And currently, they have they're doing a summer event basically that's lasting basically all of this month. And last summer the Olympics happened. They had the Summer Olympics, and so they themed the skins on like Olympic stuff. The characters were dressed up as athletes. Tracer was dressed up as like a runner, things like that. Like Lucio was dressed up as a soccer player and things like that. So they did all those things, and it was their first event ever with the game. And normally in the game, you can open loot boxes. You can open loot boxes in the game in Overwatch every time you level up. And after you hit a certain level, I think it's like level 22 or something like that, they cap out the experience it takes to level up. So you can level up as infinite number as you want. You can level up all you want and get as many loot crates as you want throughout your playing of Overwatch. And so it's really just, and the level is just that. It's just a number. And the loot boxes only give you like cosmetic stuff for your team, for your characters, whether it be skins or voice lines, emotes, things like that. So during the Summer Games, it was their first event ever. And normally with their loot section, when you open a loot box, you can get something out of it that's new. Or if you get something that you already gotten, you can get like replicate stuff. When you get a replica of something you already have, you get gold or like in-game currency that you can spend on purchasing things from the shop. Now, when they first did their Summer Games thing, they did not make it possible for you to purchase the Summer Games loot. The only way you could physically get the Summer Games loot was by opening Summer Games loot boxes. Right. It was just, that was it. And like, it made people furious. And then what they did instead was, after that point, they did like later on, they've done a lot of other events since then. And what they would do is they made it so that anytime they have an event, you can purchase all the new stuff, the new skins and stuff like that, new voice lines. But what it is like the regular stuff will be the same cost, but all the seasonal stuff will be 3 times that cost. So normally a legendary skin is like 1,000 gold, but a legendary seasonal skin will be 3,000 gold, things like that.
Gotcha.
So, but in this season they brought back the old Summer Games skins for the summer.
Oh, from last year.
While adding new summer skins, some more generic summer skins now. Like they've got like a Widowmaker bikini, and they've got Soldier 76 dressed as like a dad who's like grilling, and his grenades look like beer.
That's great. I love that.
And there's little things like that. But they've also introduced some other Olympic skins, which is I did not expect. They have like other characters that are dressed as Olympians. They have even Mercy got another skin, because Mercy had an Olympic skin last time where she's dressed as a medic. She's just like an EMT or whatever, like to help athletes and stuff. But now they have a skin where she's like dressed like an angel, and her like caduceus staff is like the torch, basically. She looks like an Olympian, basically. Now.
Okay.
And so it's really neat. And what they've done is they've brought back all of those previous skins, and what they've done is they've made all the previous skins equal to the value of regular loot. So like legendary skins are 1,000, voice lines are 25, things like that. But all of the new stuff is still 3 times their value. So 3,000 for legendary skins, 75 for voice lines and things, or sprays. It was very neat, and I'm super excited for this season. I actually I'm planning on doing what I normally do with events like this, where I really enjoy, which is I'm going to play the crap out of it and try to get as many loot crates as I can. And then by the last day, if I didn't get what I wanted, I'm going to buy a bunch of loot crates.
The question I have.
Sure.
You, on PS4, you purchased this game, and that's it. You play online via the PS4 network.
The PS4 network, yeah. You actually have to have PlayStation Plus to play online. Okay.
So that's what you're paying for on a monthly thing.
On a monthly thing, but that's not attached to Overwatch. That's just one of their features. Because not all PlayStation 4 games require PlayStation Plus to play online. Some of them do. A lot of the more popular ones do, and Overwatch is one of them. So yeah. I was just wondering. Thankfully.
So the game itself is not subscription. Technically.
Thankfully, my little brother plays for PlayStation Plus, and because he was the first account on the PlayStation, it considers the PlayStation being like having PlayStation Plus at all times. And so even though I don't pay the fee, I can still play multiplayer with my own account, which is neat.
You.
So I've been reaping the benefits without paying any costs, which is nice. Like, you know, like,
so we like to
it's
do,
like
man.
It's like sharing a Netflix account. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Y'all know this. Y'all know the struggle.
Just like.
But so yeah. So there's the game. You purchase the game. I don't know what it costs now. I know when I bought it, it was brand new, so it cost like $60. But yeah, anytime they've introduced a new character or released some sort of new game mode or did something new thing, it's all been free for the player. All the loot crates are free. If you don't spend any money on them, you can still earn all the loot crates you want from just playing the game. The only reason I purchase the games in my time is because I just have like almost no time to play this game. Like, as much as I love it, I'm not even... So most people that play this game, I've had a lot of people... So this is fun. When you play in Overwatch, you get to level 100.
I'll decide if it's fun.
When you get to level 100 in the game, when you level up again, you'll go back to level 1 and you'll gain this star. And you can keep doing that. And so, like, you get to level 200, you'll get 2 stars. And you get level 300 and stuff like that. When you get to 5 stars, you level 500, and you gain another level... it'll change your symbol to silver instead of bronze, and it'll start you off again with no stars until now you're silver. And so what I would have people ask me when they find out I play Overwatch is they'd ask me what my prestige level is in the game, what my level is in the game, and I have never hit 100. I'm only like level 55 or 56, and I've been playing since the game first came out. Like, I pre-ordered.
And that's
this
a
game.
Constant. That doesn't change every season.
No, it doesn't change every season. That's your level for the game. But like I said to you before, it doesn't necessarily like. The level in the game doesn't necessarily equate to anything besides you've been playing this game a lot, because you gain experience from losing just as much as you gain experience from winning. But you gain more experience from winning. Don't get me wrong, but you gain experience from losing as well. And so I've met a few people that are like, you know, like 3 stars, and they're like awful. They're like awful at the game. You know what I mean? Like, but so it's different.
I like that. That's
different
fun.
for everybody.
I appreciate. A manner in which you can judge someone instantly, but not correctly.
Yeah.
Or accurately.
Or accurately, exactly.
You guys got 5 stars. He must be freaking great.
Yeah.
Nope.
No.
He's 8 years old.
Yeah.
And he's homeschooled.
And he's played a lot of this game. Yeah,
so
exactly.
This is all he does.
But yeah, my sister has. I think she has at least 1 star, maybe 2. I'm not certain. Like I said, I'm still like level 50.
Meaning she's better than you?
She's most definitely better than me. She's actually pretty skilled at this game.
Ginny or Gracie?
Ginny, yeah, Ginny. Gracie's not much into the game. She's more into the manga and really more specifically the shoujo. Yeah. She reads and watches a lot of girly anime and manga. Now, that's fine. Anybody that wants to watch,
not.
That stuff. That's a-okay. She finds a lot of anime and manga I just cannot pronounce. Like, I'm just like, where did you find this?
Like
and
Shogun
how?
Roku Rakugo Shinju?
Yeah, well, like that's the
that
only...
I can only say because of you.
The only reason I can say it is because I like that show and I practiced that name. But it's like, you know what I mean? Like,
Never practiced a day, David.
It took me forever to learn that.
I just had to listen to you for months.
For months, yeah.
Showa Ginroku Rakugo Shinju. Gosh, I hate you.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, so yeah. So I really enjoyed the game. I think it's a lot of fun. I've thought about purchasing it for PC as well, just to play it on PC, but not to like really like put a lot of, I don't know, I guess, not thought, I guess, I don't know, not to put a lot of weight on it, I guess. I don't know, because I don't know how it links to my account either, because I'm signing in on a PlayStation account, but it's tied to a Blizzard account because it's a Blizzard game, and my Blizzard account is also on my PC, and so a lot of people were upset because they're like, oh, you know, cross-platform, you can't keep your ranking. And I'm like, I don't mind. I don't mind if I have to start from bronze again or whatever the case may be or whatever my ranking is. I just want to have the product that I paid.
I don't want to lose my swag.
I just want to have the product that I paid real money for.
Yeah, that's true. So, that would be incredibly annoying.
But yeah, maybe they'll change it later on. Maybe not. But anyway, I'm perfectly fine with playing it on PC or on PS4. One of the things I like about Overwatch also compared to League of Legends and other MOBAs and stuff like that is the community is not as toxic as League, or if they are as toxic, it helps that you're not in games as long. Like I mentioned before, in Overwatch, in League, you're in a game for like an hour, and so if you're in a game with somebody you don't like, you have to suck it up and sit there for that long and deal with their crap.
Nah, that sounds
until your team surrenders. You know what I mean? Like you can surrender early. If you leave, you're punished. Those kinds of things. So it's like you have to stick it out with this person you don't like, or like maybe it's an opponent on your opponent's team that's like giving you kind of trash and stuff like that. In Overwatch, you have a voice chat function that you can chat with your teammates, and you can always mute your teammates if you don't want to talk to them. And especially on PS4, in PS4 there's no like text chat, like you can't type things, you can only talk to one another through speech, through voice chat, or through the emotes of the characters.
Right.
And even then, it's like, even in, because there's a few things people do with emotes that takes me off. Even if that is the case, I'm only in the game with that person maybe 20, 30 minutes, and then I'm gone. And I never have to talk to this person ever again.
That's true.
And so
you don't.
I just can ignore them for a lot of things. And I've actually muted quite a few 13-year-olds because
I think that's something that I appreciate about Brawlhalla.
Yeah.
Which is a fighting game that I play.
Mm-hmm.
Which I didn't know that I appreciated until now, because I never had to sit through 30 minutes to an hour of a toxic teammate or toxic player in general. Like I play Brawlhalla and I play mostly 1v1 ranked games, and so the only time you really get to speak with the person that you're with is after the game. And the only time I've run into toxic people, or by toxic we mean people that are just jerks or say stupid things or mean things or dumb things,
yep,
or try and call you out for being bad at the game even though they're probably very bad at the game,
yep,
and just make your experience less than what you want it to be on a game, yep, where you're supposed to be having fun, playing, having a good time. And the only time I run into people like that is usually when I beat them. They just do something where they're like, oh, what, you're the spammer, or nice camping, you're
cheating, or you're less than because you did this thing,
like,
even though you won.
I'm silver rank,
right?
And so are you. If you can't beat me, it's because you're bad at this game.
Yeah.
It's not because I'm doing anything that makes me great.
Yeah.
I'm the middle of the road.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not good at this game. I play it for fun. You play it for fun, or you should at least. Just stop this.
Yeah.
Go. I don't.
Yeah, no, I get that. So, like,
just go play someone else.
Yes.
Play a different game.
One of the things that people do in Overwatch for me that bothers me, especially me as a character who heals. So one of the
that's right. When you pick your poison, though,
yeah,
being a healer,
and that's always the case.
It's not easy.
It's always you kind of have to be a masochist a little bit to kind of take it. But like, so there's a bunch of different things that are predetermined by the character that you can say, like hello, understood, thanks, little things like that.
Screw you.
Group up with me.
That's what she said.
No, group up with me. But one of them is
can I have your number?
One of them is I need healing, and so it's fine when somebody uses I need healing. I understand that, and a lot of times, but it's what I think is interesting is that every healer has the ability to see their allies through the map. Like no matter where they are, they can see the outline of their heroes. And when someone is damaged to a certain amount, it'll put a red plus over their head showing, hey, this person needs healing. So I know when you need healing, okay? I know.
So STFU,
right?
That's what you say.
But no, it's fine when somebody does say like, hey, I need some healings, because then games are pretty hectic, and I can be like, okay, I'm a little distracted, whatever the case may be. But when it comes to games where somebody spams I need healing over and over again, that bothers me. Especially when people do that immediately after I've been murdered by somebody. When I've died and everybody spams I need healing.
Hey, I need your help.
Go F yourself, okay? I'm sorry. I'm not a god. I can't heal you from the dead.
That's too funny.
I hate that.
You let me die.
It's real bad.
That's super good.
But generally it's fine.
But I love the story that you have when you started on a map and there was a Soldier 76 there. And he just spammed heal me.
I need healing.
At the beginning of the thing before you go anywhere. So before in Overwatch.
Yeah, we were in a map where we were on offense and your opponents were on defense. So like some maps you go at the same time. Sometimes they let your opponents set up. And so this was a map where they let the opponents get out like a minute and a half before us so they can set up turrets and defenses and things like that to protect their point. And our job was to get to the point and just sit there long enough to take it basically, or have control of it for enough time for us to take it and win. But yeah, so when that happens, they put the offensive team in a little spawn where we're locked up in a building, basically waiting for the doors to open. And while we're waiting, this guy who's playing Soldier 76 just keeps spamming, I need healing, I need healing, I need healing. And I'm playing Mercy. And Mercy has an ability to heal. She has like a little beam she can attach to one of her allies that like, heals them, or she has a buff beam that can attach their attack. It'll buff their attack and stuff. And so he was like, I need healing, and I was like, fine, whatever. And so to get him off my case, I stood next to him and put my beam on him. I put a healing beam on him for a bit, and I would also switch to offensive, the blue beam, to buff his attack. And then what happened was, when the game started, we rush out, and I start buffing his attack because he hasn't taken any damage yet. And he just like, we get to the point really quickly because Soldier 76 also has a dash. He can run really fast, and Mercy has the ability to fly towards allies. So he dashes, and I'm just flying behind him. So cool. And we just rush to the point. I'm buffing his attack. He murders everyone on the opponent team. Just gets a party kill in the first like couple seconds. We sit on the point. We take it. And we immediately go to the next point, murder everybody again, take that point, we win the game. It took like 3 minutes.
That's
tops.
so cool.
It was the greatest game ever.
Just murders everyone, and you're just his little buddy.
Right.
Like, that's my favorite story. I love that so much. Oh my gosh, that's cool.
Yeah, but it was but sometimes it's like that. Sometimes it works out. Like, because that game, I was already a little on tilt before that game, and I was worried that this guy was going to give me a hard time. But once we got into position, this guy just was like, it just handled it. Like it was.
Once you realize that he really did just need your heal,
right?
It was fine. He was like, all right, I'll do this all day. That's okay.
It was good.
Give me that win. That's all good.
And anytime somebody would try to shoot me, what I would do is I would fly towards him and hide behind his back, and so they have to shoot him while I'm healing him.
Yes. And he would murder them instantly.
Yeah. And so that was a really good game.
That is great. Did you friend that guy?
I didn't. I
Should
should have, but I didn't. I don't friend strangers on PlayStation. People friend me, and I'll accept the friend request
That's
sometimes.
The only way you can
but
friend
sometimes I ignore them because I'm just I don't like strangers on my.
I don't have a whole lot of friends on Steam. I have like 8 that have all come from Brawlhalla, and I have no idea who any of them are in real life. They're just people that have been like, "Hey, you want a 2v2 for a bit?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, whatever."
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I have friends now on Overwatch. I got in this one game where this one guy was playing a friend of his account who had a newer account on Overwatch, and they were playing competitive. And the friend who was playing, as he claimed, I say claimed because we have no proof of this, but he claimed that he was a grandmaster in this game. Like, that's the highest ranking in this game, the highest ranking in competitive Overwatch. He's a grandmaster, he says. And he was playing on his friend's account who was in bronze, and he was playing as Hanzo, which is a character that most people do not like in pros, or do not like in competitive gameplay. They think Hanzo is bad, or people that play Hanzo are generally bad. But this guy was amazing as Hanzo. He was slaughtering as Hanzo. And he got into a game with me, and I was with a guy that I found who had a... So generally what I tend to do when I play Overwatch, when I get into a game, I love they add this feature. So when I get into a game, if I find somebody who has a mic and they're intelligent, I'll try to stick with them. And Overwatch has added this feature, they added it a while back, where at the end of a game, if you like your teammates, you can push R1 and you'll stay in the team together.
Cool.
And then after the game is over, you guys can go into the next game. And so he and I got into a game together, and we partied up. And then we got into another game where some people were voicing and stuff like that. And then we get into a game with this guy. And this guy, he realizes that we're all people who are intelligent and we want to win in games and things like that, but we're just in bronze. And he calls us some tryhards. And so he's like, I got a bunch of tryhards.
Pop side. I love that.
And so
that's good.
we just started winning games. We started winning games left and right.
That's the thing about Overwatch is that if you get a bunch of people together who actually just want to follow the rules of the game and to win, rather than a bunch of idiots who are just trying to shoot each other, it's fun.
Yeah, it's very fun. It was
win.
Excellent, and it was ridiculous how quickly we just shifted the turn. like every game we got into, like there were some ones that were like, oh man, we might lose this one, and they were like, no, there was really no threat to begin with. Like by the end of it, we were just like, wow, they're just really bad at this game.
Yeah.
But he pulled like we played several games in a row, and he pulled basically everybody in our team out of bronze and into silver just in that one session of play. It was great.
That's great.
And his friend, like you hear him and his friend are talking in the chat, and he's like, "Man, you need to let me come over and play your character more often," because he's like, it was a neat experience for him to play characters and fight against characters in bronze,
right?
Because he was just like shooting these noobs as
just like playing with kids.
Yeah. He's like, oh, this is great.
Like a god.
He's like, these guys love me. Because like we're just like talking about how great he is in this game, and he's just sucking it up.
You're so great.
Yeah, man, it was really good. It was
be my friend.
It was a neat experience. But yeah, and so cool. I really enjoy Overwatch, and I really like it's gotten big. I've played a lot of competitive, mainly because when I play competitive, generally the people that are in competitive are trying to win.
Oh,
they're trying
is that what they're doing?
They're trying to gain rankings, but that's not always the case, as you can imagine. And so I also hear like currently the
someone who like stumbles upon competitive. What's this? And just falls in, oh, you guys are serious.
Or like people tend to like try to do the kind of experimentation that they do in normal gameplays, but they just do it in competitive. Like they'll be like, oh, I've never played Genji before. Let's see how this plays out. And it's like, why don't you stick to a character you know?
Real talk, I do that all the time in Brawlhalla. Just like, like, because in Brawlhalla you get missions every day.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how Hearthstone is as well.
And most of the time it's characters that I don't play with, and so I'll be like, oh, I've never played with this person before. Okay, I'll just go into a regular ranked game with them.
Yeah.
And half the time I do all right, so it's fine.
No, I mean it's fine, it would be better if like that was the case in most cases, but it really isn't. Like it's fine to do that stuff.
Not Overwatch.
So
Overwatch is a more intricate and complicated game.
Yeah,
like, I'm just hitting people in
quick play. There's a mode called quick play, which is just basically casual Overwatch, and there's also arcade modes where you can experiment all you want, where you're just playing like certain other goofy ways to play Overwatch, and those are fine. Like I love playing Mystery Heroes, which is an arcade game where every time you die you respawn as a random character and you have no choice of what character you are.
Right.
And so you get to play, and also I found this out the hard way, that even if you kill yourself, it won't respawn you as a new character. You have to be physically murdered by someone else.
Killed.
And that made me so mad. But
you have to go suck at this character for
but it was really neat
and get killed
because you learn a lot of cool characters that way. You're forced to, and it was cool. But so it's neat to try out some things there. But it's like, don't come into competitive and be like, ooh, I've never played this character before. Oh, our hero
Diva looked pretty cool. I guess I'll do this.
I really want to do the thing where she blows up her mech. And I'm just like, oh, great. Well, you have to survive long enough to do that.
I needed a new waifu, so I picked Sombra, or whatever her name is.
Sombra, yeah. That's right. Yeah. So, but I'm excited for this new event. I heard they brought back Lucio Ball, the game mode they had in the previous summer games, where they made a soccer game where everybody plays Lucio, and you guys are like basically bouncing this giant soccer ball back and forth, and you try to.
Were you the one who told me about the people that found a hack to that? Where
yeah,
you could spawn as someone other than Lucio.
Yeah, so originally
you could just murder everyone because Lucio's a support character.
He's a support character, and he can hurt people with his gun. But I think they did something with his gun in that game mode where all he could do was he could boop things. He could like push things with his gun because he made like sonic waves. And so basically you're pushing this ball back and forth. But what somebody did was, like, a bunch of people figured it out and kind of spread it around the internet. They found a way to, like, cheat the system so that you could spawn in as any other character in Overwatch, just show up, murder all the Lucios in the opponent team, and then just push the ball into the goal. And
that's too good.
But yeah, apparently they fixed that glitch, as far as I know.
Did they not?
And we shall see. They've also added alternate maps for this mode, and so a lot of people were excited to play it. Apparently, a lot of people are really excited to get back into Overwatch. Apparently, it's pulling a lot of people because the other day when I tried to get in, it just physically wouldn't let me in Overwatch because there were too many people trying to play Overwatch at the same time. Like I queued in, and it was just like, you're queued in a line, and it'll be
it'll be 6 hours.
You're number 300, and the people trying to get on Overwatch right now, and I'm just like, okay. And then like later on, I tried to get on, and they're like, you're number 50,000, and I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna turn the game off because I don't need to worry about this. But they were also saying like they're having some server issues and things like that. It's one of those things. It's just like I don't understand games like this that are popular. How it's just like they have this thing where like they do something and their goal is to attract a lot more people playing the game, but then when a lot of people come and play the game, it just doesn't work. The system just like shuts down and they're like, oh, we had no idea this many people would show up, and be like, wasn't that kind of the goal though? Like shouldn't your expectation to be like lots of players to come play your game?
From my experience working with websites and clients and people who host stuff and
Right.
servers, I just like sometimes there's just no preparation whatsoever, David.
Yeah, I get that. But maybe it's easier now. And now also they have a new character out, Doomfist, who's really cool. I haven't gotten to play him yet, but he looks really neat. So he's an offensive character. He has this giant metal fist, basically, and he has this ability where you can dash forward and punch somebody with your fist, and based on the distance that you got from where you were to where you got to them, it'll like push them back a certain amount and deal lots more damage, basically, as opposed to
the longer the distance, the more damage.
The more damage and the more distance they'll push back, and which is different than characters like Reinhardt and I forget the other person that does it. I think that's Diva. There's certain characters that'll do dashes that'll run into people and they'll pin them against the wall. Well, it's like he could pin them against the wall, but really his goal is to basically push them and knock them into a wall and have them take more damage that way. So he's just dealing straight damage, which is really neat. But he's apparently really, really good. People like him. And when he first
What's his name again?
Doomfist.
Doomfist. Subtle.
Yeah, people were So there was talk on the internet that they thought Terry Crews was going to play this character, but it didn't turn out to be the case. But I still hold out hope that Terry Crews is going to voice somebody, because he was posting on his Twitter about being involved with Blizzard for a bit and Overwatch, and so he may be voicing somebody, just not Doomfist apparently. Yeah, and so that was neat. And to celebrate that character, when he first came out, they made a game mode where you could get into an elimination match where it's like whenever you kill somebody, they don't respawn. They're out for the game, and it'd be 6v6. Everybody's playing Doomfist, so everybody's just running around murdering one another as Doomfists, so that everybody could like kind of learn the character a little bit.
I like that,
and so that was really neat. So yeah, there's a lot to pick up in the game. Like I said, there's a lot of different ways to play. There's so many different characters now. They're up to 25 characters, I think, now.
Oh wow!
So
getting up there.
They're getting up there, and
do they have a set amount of time for? Do they have a set schedule for pumping out new characters?
They generally start. They don't have like we don't know when the next character's coming out, but they generally will like tell us a few months in advance that, hey, look, there's this new character we're working on, and this is kind of what they're going to do. And people start speculating, and leaks start coming out, and things like that. They start doing things to build the hype, basically, for the character. And then when the character drops, there's plenty of stuff. And also, there's a server. I don't know how to get onto it, but people talk about it a lot. But there's like a testing server people can get on where they can play the character before it comes out on the official game. And so a lot of people I've seen, like a lot of streamers and stuff, have access to that. And so they'll be training and practicing with this new character, or pro players will be training with the new characters to kind of see how they are, and it'll help test the character out, and it'll help the development team figure out like where any kinks might be in the character and things like that. And so they'll edit it. So it may not be identical to how the character is in the final cut of the game. And so, like, the plebes like you and I can play the game with the character later. But it's neat. And I'm excited to see the new stuff that Overwatch does. I'm really impressed with their new skins that they've come out with. I really want to get Soldier 76's, like, dad skin. I really want to get Mercy's medic skin as well as her Olympian skin, because I get all the Mercy skins. I really want to get Zarya's weightlifting skin, because Zarya's kind of become a favorite of mine as well. Zarya is the big muscular weightlifting chick with the pink hair. I didn't think I was going to like her when I first saw the game, but the more I started playing her, the more I was like, oh, this is great. And it really helped that she's like very similar play-wise to a character I played in League of Legends called Leona, who's a tank character as well, that has like her benefit of the game, or her way to play the game is basically she rushes in and hurts people. And Zarya's like that too. It's just like for her to deal a lot of damage, she has to take a lot of damage, and so she has to like rush into combat, and she's like right up in the front of everybody and stuff like that. And I really like that play style.
That's cool.
She's a very tough character. I like that. I like the personality of the characters. It's very neat. So yeah, check them out. If you haven't just played Overwatch, like, try it out. Go to a friend's house that has it. Check it out. See if you like it. I personally put my seal of approval on it. I'm probably going to talk about it more when as more new stuff comes out, new special things come out. I really like when they do player versus environment games. Like they have like PvE situations where you're fighting robots and things. Those are really neat. They haven't done one of those in a while. I'm really hoping they release a game mode permanently that'll do that, where you can fight. Besides, like, they have one where you fight against AI robots, which is just like a training mode setting. But it would really need to have like a really difficult one, like they do like generally like raid type thing, where you have characters to work with. Those are really fun.
So it's a good game, is what you're saying.
Yeah, no, it's a good game. I like it a lot.
Well, cool.
Yeah. I feel like there was one other point I was trying to get across. don't remember what it is now.
Do you have any more points about the game you want to get across, David?
Stop. Stop trying to let me walk into
David's struggling to pull this one last thing out of his brain that I guess he didn't write down because he's never prepared for this
what
show.
the heck? Never prepared. No.
That was a joke because I'm never prepared.
But no, I'm really excited to see the new modes that this game is going to come out with and the new features it's going to come out with because I really enjoy playing this game.
What fun.
I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. I don't know. We'll come back. Oh, I guess that's the thing. I want to talk more about as new things come out, new seasons and new segments come out. And also, I'm going to probably talk a little bit about, in the future, talk about how, the current, I guess, meta of the game is. Because I hear right now, the current meta of the game is kind of broken. There's some characters in there that are a little unbalanced, and it's just not quite there yet. It wasn't too bad not too long ago, but I think with the introduction of Doomfist and with some of the other things they're doing right now, things haven't quite settled down yet, and they haven't quite figured out their stride yet.
When you make a game that you're constantly creating characters for, that's just how things are going to go.
So I'm going to keep tabs on that, and maybe talk about that later on in the future. But yeah, very cool.
Awesome sauce.
That's all I got today.
That's yet another podcast. This is podcast number 10, David.
Wow, we got all up there.
That's up there.
Yeah.
At the time of recording, 9 still isn't out, but...
Oh, wow, yeah, okay. Well, we need to get on that.
Yeah, well...
Look, I was wondering about that.
I do what I can. I'm sorry.
That's all right. We'll get there.
This just means we'll drop 2 close to one another maybe this week sometime. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways.
We love you guys. We promise.
Reach out to us.
Yeah. Tell
us what you think about Overscratch.
We have a Gmail at thosenerdsyouknowpod@gmail.com. Email us if you have a thing. We also have a Twitter at TNYKPod. Check us out there. Like us. Follow us.
We have a Facebook page. Please do
Facebook,
that.
Those Nerds You Know Facebook page.
Us there.
We have a Those Nerds You Know YouTube page. We're going to.
We do.
We're posting these podcasts with some video, some visuals and stuff on there, but mainly. But we are planning on putting out some visual content, some YouTube videos. So check us out there. We have some videos going to come out there, so follow us on that.
Definitely.
And so we're excited about that.
Reach out to us. Let us know. Tell me if I'm wrong about the Dark Tower. I welcome your criticism. And tell us how you're liking Voltron.
Yeah.
Tell us who you play on Overwatch if you play that.
Like us, share us, tell your friends.
Tell me if you play Brawlhalla.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Tell us if you don't like us. I want to hear that.
I don't. Just tell David.
Just tell me. Okay.
But yeah, thanks again. Thanks for listening. My name is Ethan.
I'm David.
And we are Those Nerds You Know.
Woo!
Bye! Bye.